This is going to be hard for me to have to talk about when it comes to movies. Guys, I hope that movies that come out in 2022 do not follow this trend that I have just witnessed when it comes to Hotel Transylvania 4, Transformania. As always, guys, we're going to talk about positives and negatives. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of positive things to do when it comes to talking about when it comes to this movie. There are a couple things, but mostly I'm going to be talking about things negatively, unfortunately. Um, this was a movie that was supposed to be released in theaters, yet for unknown reasons, this movie ended up getting a Amazon Prime exclusive release. And I had very little interest to watch this when it had trailers showing in theaters and online. And when it said it was going to be released in theaters in January, I was kind of excited because normally in January and in February, we don't get a lot of movies released that are high quality. And really quickly to talk about Hotel Transylvania, I've seen the first three, and I enjoyed the first one. Second one was okay. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. Three I thought was a much better sequel, and I thought it was more in line with the originals. You know, site and characters and world building. This one somehow magically seems to be the worst out of all four, and I honestly thought that the film series of Hotel Transylvania was going to conclude with a third one. I mean, three is a nice round number, but they've done a fourth one, and I just was curious as to how they would properly conclude the series with this fourth film and if it was actually worth watching. Because to me, I think 1, 2, and 3 is a great series on its own. And unfortunately, I don't think this movie should have been made. I don't see the reason, the rhyme. There's nothing in this movie, unfortunately, that makes you, as an audience member, within the first 5 minutes, heck, within the first minute when they're doing the musical number to start off the movie, there's nothing in the first 5 minutes that grabs you and makes you think, okay, this is going to be a great ride. Like immediately within the first minute or two, you're just thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. Hopefully it gets better. And unfortunately, it doesn't. It doesn't get any better. I mean, there's a couple high moments, but unfortunately, they do get drowned out by everything else going on in the movie that is extremely bad. So the premise of this film is that it's a comedy, it's an adventure, it's about an 87-minute runtime, and that includes credits. And it's basically about Dracula and Johnny working together to reverse the effects of this transformation ray that Van Helsing had in his collection, and they have to try to reverse the transformation effect, especially against Johnny, before it becomes permanent, and Johnny becomes this monster, and he no longer has any Johnny inside of him. So, of course, we're going to talk about the fact that, two questions that a lot of people have had um, going around in the internet as to did this add to any of the characters? Does this movie add to the plot? Does it add to the universe series? No. There's nothing really added in here. I mean, it kind of concludes some story plot elements and some character moments that the third one didn't conclude. But honestly, I don't think they needed to spend a whole movie answering these questions. And of course, did this movie really need to exist, or should this series have ended at the conclusion of the third film? Personally, watch 1 and 2. I don't see a rhyme or reason that this movie should have existed, like I talked about earlier. The fourth one does have some funny character moments. It has have some humor, but it doesn't add any interesting. It doesn't add any interesting things to the characters or plots. There's some character moments, but they're so minuscule, they are so small that they're gonna get drowned out, like I said, by everything else going on. The movie is a great watch once and done, but this movie isn't original. If you've seen any other movie in your entire life, you've seen this movie already and in much better fashion. It's very uninspiring. The movie doesn't hurt the canon, so this movie doesn't do like the Matrix Resurrections, where it's like, okay, we're going to make a fourth movie just because we have to by contract or something, and because we need to do another one just so we can make more money. This one respects what came before. It respects 1, 2, and 3, but it doesn't add anything new to the established canon. It doesn't add anything new to the established lore. Another big problem is there's literally no new characters. So like if you go back and watch 1, 2, and 3 and then you watch 4, you're like, where's a new character? Where's a new interesting event taking place? And it kind of does this whole like we need to get from point A to point B to point C to point D, and then we're going back to point B, and then we're going back to C, and then A, and it just does all this jumping around when it comes to locations, but you don't feel like you're actually in those locations when the movie's happening. Like, yeah, you're in a jungle. Oh no, there's bees that are going to attack me. Oh no, I'm in a cave. Oh no. It just doesn't add any permanent stakes. Like, there's one stake, but you know how it's going to be concluded. It's extremely predictable. And I just did not care about the characters and their peril. I got bored easily watching this movie within the first 5 minutes, and it takes 20 minutes for these movie to actually have a plot to start off with. I did like the concept of Drac being a human while Johnny is a monster, and seeing that concept executed was done well, and it's done in many unique in multiple ways, like flighting issues or sunlight that normally would burn Drac, but because he's a human, he can walk around in it now, so it's kind of funny. It does deal with what it means to be part of a family and the life lesson of do you love stuff over people or do you love people over stuff? So I like that. But this is just a once and done type of movie. You watch this movie once and you're going to forget it. Um, if you're not a big fan of Hotel Transylvania, this movie's going to not be something that I can highly encourage you guys to watch. If you guys have watched 1, 2, and 3, maybe watch this movie just so you guys can see how it concludes. But personally, I don't have any interest nor desire to rewatch this movie ever again. And if you're thinking, oh, I'll get Amazon Prime so I can watch this, I don't think it's worth the subscription service of Amazon Prime to watch this movie, unfortunately, either. So if you know somebody that does have Amazon Prime, go over to their house, watch it. This movie's great background noise. It's a good movie to watch while you're doing other things, but it's not something that's going to grab you and hook you, and it's just a movie that was made for movie's sake, and I feel like they made this just so they could have some sort of paycheck, and I guess there was some sort of obligation that they had to do a fourth one. If they do a fifth one, I'll watch it and review it, but my hype died at the end of 3, and I watched this just to see if for some reason this movie was actually worth being made, and it really has no reason to exist. The biggest thing I guess I could say is that they finally make it where Drac retires from being the owner of Hotel Transylvania after 125 years, and he goes on and lives in retirement while Mavis and Johnny take over, and it's, you know, their chapter of their life with them being the owners of the hotel, and just leave well enough alone. Like, we don't need to see more. I think most people have seen plenty from this universe and would prefer that whatever the people that worked on the Hotel Transylvania series do next, it's not a Hotel Transylvania 5. I would really prefer them to go and do something new, something interesting. I'm getting to a point as a audience member, I'm sick of prequels and I'm sick of sequels. I want something new and original, and this movie is not original. So with that, I'm giving Hotel Transylvania 4 Transformania a 3 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day. See you guys next video or stream. Bye guys.